the pedalboard. I built this many years ago just as a proof of concept kind of thing. I used whatever I could find. These slats were from an old bed. I think the base is laminate flooring. Right. These are door hinges, like kitchen door kind of hinges, or kind of cupboard hinges. I actually glued a power supply on, and one of the reasons for doing that was I needed power for the power supply. I needed power for the valve distortion, the black star, which required its own kind of what was it? It was quite a high voltage, 24 volt, 1 amp kind of, because it's a high voltage tube distortion. And I put Velcro strips on. The modification I made yesterday was these clips. Before that, I just had these screws in, and once I was happy with it, I put rope around, screws top and bottom, and I could tie it down. But I wanted something that is more easily managed, and I just got these clips. So this means this can now open up more easily. There's Velcro underneath, obviously, to put on the to hang on the power supply and whatever else needs done, and gaps for the cable management. It's fairly big, as you can see, so it takes quite a bit. It's ugly as sin, but like I said, this was a kind of proof of concept sort of thing. So I'm gonna build another board. The other thing is it's dusty. I've literally washed this and vacuumed this yesterday, but some of the dog hair I can't get out. But honestly, this thing is solid, right? I mean, it looks like homemade, and it definitely is. But now with these clips included and everything kind of, it doesn't look clean, but it is clean. Power supply, it's solid. It really is. The only difficulty with this thing is trying to find a some sort of case for it, you know, to be able to travel with it easier. I deliberately put this additional ledge on here so I can carry it like this. But oh, there's another thing. See, this is all in the design. So, in able to transport it, I cut these holes in here so I can put the plug away. You know, these are the things manufacturers should think of. So when you do things yourself, you can, you know, you can mess around with this sort of thing. There we go. Anyway, let's try and plan out the pedals. So let's have a look at my new lovely little pedal board, which I'm fairly proud of. So what sparked this is actually receiving 4 pedals from Donner to demo and review. And the ones I got was the Dumbal drive, the Island delay looper, the circle looper, and the VintaVerb. I did get another Donner power supply, and this was the final layout that I came up with, which suits my needs perfectly. So let's go down the train. Let me just see if this is recording properly. Okay. So I'll turn this around. Let's just see if this is doing it. Yeah. So the first pedal is the boost drive. This was the first one I made, which is the prelude to the dirty mid boost pedal. It's got volume and tone and option to clip, so that just inserts a LED, not an LED, a diode into the boost. The tone goes back and takes away bottom end, so it's perfect for boosting high gain pedals or amps. It then goes, the path is really fucked up, but there you go. It then goes into the Black Star, which is my main kind of drive pedal. It goes from the Black Star into the Dumbal drive, the Dumbal drive into the high gain distortion. The high gain distortion goes into the Herrscherin fuzz, which is the one knob fuzz. It then comes back all the way to the boost pedal. The boost pedal then goes into the zoom, and I'll explain why I added this in the mix. The zoom has got a stereo out, so from here everything is stereo. This comes out stereo into the island delay looper, into the sorry, this is like a delay pedal. This goes into the looper, the Donner looper, which then goes into the VintaVerb, and the VintaVerb is the last one in the chain. The reason it is like this is because I wanted all my time effects after any sort of modulation or drive or anything like that. So the zoom is my tuner, and the zoom is any effects other than delay or reverb. It is also good for things like there's a problem with the EQ, so I can go add an EQ and kind of fix that. So this really only serves the purpose of tuning some modulation stuff if I want, so there's only 1 or 2 patches I put in at the moment. And so that's why it sits after the drives, before the time effects. The Dumbal drive is on here because I need to demo it. It'll probably come off, and I'll probably replace it with the Torquemore. One of these, I don't know yet, for a nice dirty drive. So essentially, I can go into either this one or this one as a front end, but I prefer this one because I never really have a fully clean tone. I'll do a demo later and you'll see what I mean. This is a very typical nice distortion, and the distortion you get from this is a high gain valve distortion, high voltage tube distortion, and it has 2 channels. There's lots of good demos about the Black Star. It's got a low gain and a high gain, or like a crunch and a high gain, and you have the ISF sweep, which kind of goes between the sweeps of, dare I say, from Mesa Boogie distortion kind of structure to a Marshall structure. And I usually have it just before halfway, and then you tone shape it. And you've got really good ways of controlling the ins and outs, input and output gain. It is also not true bypass, so it's a good pedal to have as a good first buffer. This works really well because it's a tube distortion. It really likes to be boosted, and that's why I've got the boost, the dirty boost in front of it. And so you can get a really nice rhythm distortion tone with the Black Star, and if you want to tighten it up and boost it a bit, you use something like the dirty mid boost. I'll have some links to the actual final product, but this is kind of like a basic one I made just as a proof of concept. The high gain distortion from Horsey is really nice distortion and much simpler, and therefore I put it in the chain because I can choose which one I want. The booster is really just to lift the signal for leads or anything like that. It's got a slight breakup on it, but not a lot. So it's really just, you know, okay, I need a bit of extra volume, and I switch that on. Now, I bought this blindly. I just wanted a cheap booster. I should have just made one, but I just bought it because it was dirt cheap, and it kind of works, but I'll probably replace that with something better. The fuzz is just in case I need some fuzz every now and then, and that then goes back into the delay. The tape delay on this is a bit funky, so I'm actually using the ping pong, and one of the reasons is I want that because I use like a stereo rig, so I want that ping pong when I do certain delay things, and it goes stereo into the looper. I do a lot of looping in the current band, so having the ability to switch the loop on and off, there's a lot of toe tapping going on currently. You need to kind of go from a loop, switch the loop off into a boost, and put the delay off at the same time. So there's this dance going on. That's why the order of this pedal is not the logical order of how they should be, what you look at, but it is from a player's perspective where I need them closer to one another, etc. So that's why the wiring underneath is a bit funky, because I had to like crisscross stuff. But otherwise it works fine. I had a quick test with it yesterday. A couple of notes to mention: I will be having demos of the Donner pedals, and one thing I can tell you already is that if you buy any of these new Vivid series, they need a lot of milliamps. So ideally you get yourself a power supply which doesn't just have 100 milliamp outputs, but has 200, 300, 500 milliamp outputs. 9 volt, but they want higher outputs, which I don't understand. It's a bit of a fault if you ask me, because see, like the Zoom, most of the other digital pedals, they don't require that much, and it actually fucks up everything, because most of the kind of more affordable range of power supplies, which are absolutely fine, don't have high output, so you literally have to buy additional outputs. I mean power supply. Weirdly enough, this one, the island delay, didn't work at all. It just kept bombing out on the 100 milliamps. It wants 200. I put it into the 500 and it now works. This one wants 300. This one wants 200. This one, so this one doesn't want 200. This one's just this one is an analog pedal. But anyway, funny enough, these two work fine on the 100 milliamps, which is probably going to cause me issues with my power supply down the line. But don't worry, I'll probably replace that. So this is a really versatile board, all the way from really high gain kind of tight metal distortion to just really nice crunch, to like a more kind of girthy distortion for kind of sludgy stuff, and the inclusion of the fuzz, which is a horrendous fuzz. Check out the Herrscherin one knobs. They work really well. The way I've actually set the fuzz up is that it's designed such a way that it's really responsive to your volume on your guitar. So if I use the fuzz, I use it in conjunction with the Dumbal drive, because I can sculpt the tone that goes into, and also the volume that goes into the fuzz in one shot. So I don't have to ride the volume if I don't want to. I can get the right fuzz tone just with these two pedals. One of the reasons I chose the Zoom Multi-Effects pedal is because I know them very well, and their ADDAs are really good, and they can take a lot of volume. So even if I have this boost on full, I'm not going to be clipping this guy, and what comes in and into this guy goes out of it. Like, let's say you have no effects, and otherwise they're just kind of half decent and very cheap to buy. So let's look at the insides. This is where it gets funky. These clips are new, but it means I can open it up. The thing about using the Black Star is that you need a separate power supply. Now, when I built this board, I don't know if you've seen the first part, but essentially this board was just a proof of concept, the actual pedal board itself. And what I wanted to do is just see if I could put something together. I used scrap pieces of wood I had lying around, and I built this thing. And so I just reused that, right? I wasn't replanning anything. So I added these clips. I had a different way of holding it together, which was shite. So there's the power supply. The cable management is not great, but that is because I couldn't be bothered kind of trying to get the exact length and cutting and soldering and all that. I used what I had, and it's nice and tight. It's just not perfect, that's all. But here's the additional. So we need one power supply, one plug for the power supply, and we need one plug for the high voltage for the black star. That's the only thing, and that's one of the reasons this is actually stuck to the pedal board, is so that I just have to plug this one thing in. I don't have to try and find many different plugs. Had a wee run of this yesterday, and to be honest with you, it is very noiseless, even with 3 of the gain pedals engaged. I was worried that the 220 volts here is so close to some of the cables, some of the wires, and the patch cables, that we might have some buzzing and stuff, but not really. So I guess we need to get some tone samples going. I wasn't even recording. I've been talking like for 5 minutes. So here we go again. So here's the board. I've got the left, into the right, into the right, into the interface. I'm using the Nalex Gerbert and Ignite amps cap loader, using my own IRs. So if you like the sound, if you like the tone, check out my IRs. It's the 2021 all you need IR pack. And so here we are. So this is the DMB kind of precursor. This was the test bed. This is a boost pedal. It's basically a low drive with a clipping option, and you can use it to boost as an overdrive, but it's really nice for boosting a high gain channel or high gain pedal and dropping that bottom end to get it a bit tighter. I'll give you an example. I like that idea because it means you can do like a nice heavy kind of rhythm tone, but when you need that tightness for palm mutes or staccatos or leads or anything, you can switch on the boost and it really just lifts everything up and out of the mix. And then after that we have the high gain distortion. The DMB also adds some additional harmonics and grit to the signal, so it kind of pushes it into that kind of sludge tone as well without being sludgy, if that makes any sense. It really gives a lot of harmonics and that brutal distortion in the bottom end, not on the high end fizz kind of thing. So the signal then goes from there into the fuzz. So the booster is really there is at the end of all the drive, and it really just lifts everything up at the end if you want extra volume. This is not the booster I'm going to stick with. I think I'm going to make my own again, because I really want a clean boost that just lifts the overall signal just a tad, maybe 5-10 decibels tops. And the real reason this board is set up this way is because I need a lot of delay and looping happening, and I need to be able to switch them on and off with fair ease. So for example, you hear the left right, like it. the only other thing, let's switch this verb off. The only other thing that I have added is, so you see the zoom is on an empty channel. If I go back one, it's on a stereo chorus. Switch that thing off. What's nice about gain staging is that the different drives don't have to be dialed as much, and you can sculpt that distortion character better, and you don't have huge amount of noise in the signal, because each gain stage just adds a little bit extra, and the distortion stays cleaner in my opinion. I hope you like it. Anything, if you are interested in the Donner pedals, please check below. They were sent to me. I am doing demos of them. I am keeping them, and I am got affiliate thing going with them. So there's some discount, and there's also some money back to me. If you're interested in Donners, please follow the link below and use that. If you like the tone, I think my IRs are really useful for this sort of thing. And they're dirt cheap. Links below, and otherwise like and subscribe.